Excited to have our next guest on. I've known this guy for a very long time, and just like me, he was a wild one, and now he's kind of got his life uh, on track. He's doing the Lord's work, and I'm happy to have him on the show because he's doing great work. Please welcome Gary Faust. How are you, buddy?
Thank you for having me, Sam. I'm actually 2 weeks sober today,
Oh,
completely.
dude, welcome. It's so much better. People don't realize it. It's just so much better. I can't express to you enough how much I love being sober.
Yeah.
And if you're out there struggling, I would say go to a meeting and just sit back and just give it a chance. It's really amazing when you stop shooting yourself in the foot, how easy it is to walk to your dreams. And
Yeah.
people don't realize that. I was talking to somebody recently, and then I'll shut up here. Uh, but during COVID, I got sober. I got on this Zoom meeting that goes every night, and I really bonded with these people. But I had so much time on my hands. I would sit down and I would write a daily gratitude list, and then I would do a daily goals list. And I had so much time, I would do a life goals, and I would really shoot for the stars. Like I would just put crazy shit on there that at that point in time didn't seem that realistic. And I can't tell you how many of those things are now coming true. And it's basically a GPS for your life.
Yeah, it's
Like a lot,
manifestation, right?
it's a manifestation. The written word is manifestation. And on top of that, I always tell people when they get sober, it's like you got where you want to go. Like, what are the things you want to do? It's like, not having goals in your life is like getting in your car and just driving somewhere. No, I don't know where I'm going. Well, you usually know where you're going when you drive. So, writing down your goals list, and when I tell people to do when they do their life goals, shoot for the fucking stars, dude. Don't censor. Don't go. That's never going to happen. You can say I want to be president of the United States. There's a million
you,
things that have to happen.
you know what I've been saying lately? Kind of jokingly, but the more I say it, the more serious I realize I am. Is I keep telling people I'm trying to save America, which is, like you're saying, shooting for the stars. But I'm kind of starting to think that if everybody started thinking that way, we probably would be in a lot better of a predicament.
Well, Gary, if I could give you any advice as a guy who's been in recovery, been on a spiritual journey, you can't save anybody. The only thing that you can do
Yeah.
is to give them the data and knowledge to save themselves. So when I do a live show, and people come up to me and say, "Hey, man, your show saved my life," that's worth more than gold. Um, because that meant they took control of their life, and they took the steps to change their vibrations and the direction of the world. So, because you can get lost.
You know what
It,
you just reminded me of was you were
a
talking earlier
wigger,
about the ethereal wiggers that are controlling the earth.
yeah.
You know, earlier I was talking to my buddy the other day, and he was talking about. Are you familiar with Nikola Tesla's 369 rule?
Bro, all my goals and my gratitude list are done in 369. Nine things I'm grateful for, nine daily goals. And when I was doing my life goals, which I need to get back to, I did it in I did 27 of them.
Can you give me your Sam Tripoli synopsis of why the 369 rule works?
Dude, it's very complicated and I'm a retard. But what I would
Okay.
tell you is that it has to do with energy and points and data. Xavier is much better at explaining this. Xavier, will you explain Tesla's 369 to everybody?
Uh, this is how we're gonna do it. Nikola Tesla was fascinated by the numbers 369, which he called the key of to the universe, believing they held a deeper significance to the cosmos patterns and energies. While he didn't simply, I don't know what that word.
Explicitly,
There we go. A 36-9 theory. I don't know if you want to keep
his
going.
entire his ideas inspired the modern 369 manifestation. See, if you see behind him, if you go to images, it will show you why these numbers matter. They're very specific numbers. Johnny, do you have any clue? Because you're the nerd dork.
I have no idea.
I don't know, but it works.
I was talking to somebody the other day about biblical numerology and
Oh yeah.
why all these things are connected. And I don't know anything about it. I'm not saying that it's legitimate because I haven't done my research personally on it, but I'm noticing more and more people are starting to pick up on things like numerology and the Bible, like very, very much so recently. I think there's also been a rise in the attendance of Christian and Catholic churches all across Europe. And I
Well, we've done an experiment since the 60s about going the opposite way of God through this kind of astroturf movement to demonize God. And everyone realizes it doesn't work. They're miserable. Their anxiety's high. Their depression's high. Their anger's high. And it's something we've talked about in this show a lot, especially the Outside Mind podcast came on and they were talking to us. And this is something I've been applying to my life ever since then, and it's really hard, and I'll get into it. But are you aligning your free will with God's plan? And it goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. When they decided to do their what they wanted to do, which is the forbidden fruit and whatever that represents. Um, that is not aligning with God's will. And I say this all the time. You got these people on the progressive left trying to tell you how to live a proper life, and they all seem fucking miserable to me. And so I go, well, based on your actions and your behaviors and your vibe, I don't think you have any clue what happiness is and
right.
living a fulfilled life. So that's kind of like, and I have a buddy of mine. He's such a smart fucking guy. And we were just talking about philosophy and psychology and spirituality, and he brought up the butterfly effect. And it's not called the butterfly effect because he was just riffing on it, but because the butterfly effect is like a very small thing can cause, a butterfly flapping its wing here will cause war in the Middle East. But
Hmm.
it's this idea that, like, if you chase a butterfly, it runs away. But if you stand still, it comes and lands on you.
Mm.
And that to me is what it's about.
It's like the law of attraction almost.
Yes.
It also reminds me of that. What is it? Is it from the Art of War about, if I just stand by the the river long enough, eventually my
Dude,
body's
part of me wants to get that tattooed somewhere on my body. If you sit
What
by
is
the
this?
if you sit by the bay of the river long enough, you'll see the bodies of your enemies float by.
the bank of the river.
Yeah, you sit by the bank of the river long enough, you'll see the bodies of your enemies float by. And it's the greatest saying about how, like, you really can't get lost in what other people think about you, and you can't wage war against other people. It's an old thing in recovery, which is like resentments are basically poisoning your own well trying to get back at somebody else. And that's kind of like the way I live my life. The most zen place you can get to is that somebody's opinion of you doesn't matter. It's none of your business. Like, and that sounds the most personal shit out there,
Mhm.
is that how somebody thinks about you. But in reality, it's really none of your business. Hey, you can't control it. Especially when you go, hey man, what have I done to this fucking guy? And you go,
Yeah.
nothing. I've done nothing. I remember back when I was a really young comic, my manager at the time met with this comedy booker, and I forget what his name was, but he was just sitting there with my manager, and he goes, listen, I don't care what you tell me. I will never book Sam Tripoli or Steve Byrne ever in any of my shows ever. And I couldn't pick this guy out of a police lineup if you held a gun to my head. I couldn't tell you what he looked like. I don't know who he was. I know who he is now. I can't remember his name. That's how inconsequential he is. And everything he touched outside of At Midnight turned to shit. Um, he was part of the whole movement of diversity and nerds and women and all that shit in the comedy that was a virus that destroyed comedy. Uh, but like, I can't control that guy. Oh, his name was Bart Coleman. This guy named Bart Coleman, who's a big booker for a long time. Told my manager. My manager was quiet because he's got other clients he wants to take care of. He doesn't want to tell me he represents the two guys he hates, and even though one of them can't even fucking couldn't tell you what he looked like to save his life, I go, what did I do to this guy? Oh, nothing. And so I kind of started learning right there that's just out of my hands.
Yeah, you still have a choice too. You said something about God's plan a minute ago that reminded me of something else I've been thinking a lot about lately, which is the idea of destiny versus free will. And I have a theory I want to run by you. It's the idea that life is, I call it a loose script. It's kind of like a Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Ah, I used to
And
love those. Yeah. I used to tell you go to page 35 if you want this part, or
right.
page 35.
Choose
Yeah,
your
yeah,
own
I got it.
adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my theory about life is that we don't completely have free will because there is sort of a loose outline, like a movie script where you can choose where you're going. So you don't choose how you're born or anything like that. But God has a plan. I've been believing in God a lot more since I got sober too. It's weird how everybody that gets sober starts believing in God a lot, but I think that there's kind of a rough outline for what's going to occur in your life, and you can choose to make the worst of it or make the best of it. And I'm just curious what you think about stuff like that.
Uh, I do believe we're on a path. You know, I do believe there's a little bit of decisions can send you this way or that way. But you are on a path and
Right.
you are here to learn lessons. And when you're done learning those lessons, that's when you wrap it up. But
You move on.
or you move on, or you call it a day. This whole notion of living forever, which Johnny wants to do. Johnny wants to live forever. I think that's misery. I
Man,
don't think we're meant to live.
again, I'm not talking about some kind of like a head in a jar situation. I would like to live a healthy life for as long as I possibly can. Yes, absolutely. I would like to be comfortable and healthy. And I think that's totally natural to want to take care of your body as God commands us in the Bible. Your body is a temple, of course.
Yeah, and your temple has COVID right now, so I don't think you're doing well.
Yeah, wasn't it you who was like, "Oh, I'm under the weather" the other day when we were recording? Like,
I feel great right now. I just got my Rasheed Wallace jersey. I'm fucking styling. I'm
Rude.
feeling good about my.
yeah,
But
I like the
I
LA
do
hat.
believe in that. Are there like opportunities that show up and it blows up in your face and you're just like, oh, the opportunity's gone? My belief is that it was never meant to happen because something bigger is about to come and you weren't meant to get it at that moment. And so one of the best things I ever heard was from a Buddhist author named Von Gulch. She's like one of the big people in my life who kind of got me onto the God track. She was like, the universe warns you, and then it shows you. And whenever,
Ah,
right? So we have friends of ours who've been canceled or people we know that have been canceled.
yeah.
I know I have a buddy of mine who someone in his family or within his family got drunk and killed people in a car. And I would tell you, even though I don't know for sure, but I would tell you probably that guy had been drinking and driving a bunch of times and had a couple warnings in his life, and then bang, the universe showed him. So it's like anytime something doesn't work out or doesn't go your way, you kind of got to ask yourself, what is the universe trying to teach me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
What's the
dude,
lesson?
I had a heart attack when I was 29. That was when I
Ooh.
started trying to get sober because and I'm in perfect health basically, which is the craziest part. I mean, I just got my blood work back. I'm working with this company called Transcend, and they're trying to fix like my T levels, my cholesterol, and some other stuff because all the drug abuse, the lack of sleep, and I can make a laundry list of issues that I was causing myself. But
Yeah, we had a weird moment where you were on acid and you thought I was trying to bang your stripper girlfriend. It was it was a weird moment. I was like,
is that what how you recall that?
I totally recalled that. We were at the club in Houston. I forget the
Secret group.
yeah, and what's his face was there who went nuts on me. Um, and you were there with your either Latino, Asian stripper girlfriend, and you
Yeah,
were on
I had
acid.
a Portuguese stripper girlfriend. Yeah,
Yeah.
see this is how I recall this.
But
I was
let's submit to the court that you were on acid and I was not.
I
And I'm not mad. I just think it's hilarious.
I think there was wait, are you talking about at Skankfest?
I don't know if it was Skankfest, but it was one of the times when
There was a time when I was hammered at Secret Group and I thought you were being a dick to me and I was like, "Well, fuck you."
I have weird energy.
And then I saw you at Skankfest and I was on acid and I was on mushrooms and I was looking at you weird, and you said, "Hey, dude, we have a problem," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't like you," and you go, "Hey, well, I'm sorry for whatever I did," and then we hugged it out, and I remembered thinking, "Whoa, dude, that was kind of crazy," and then we had no issue after that,
I,
but yeah, it was some situation along
it was
those
someone's
lines.
anyways. It's
Crazy.
not a big deal. I just thought it was funny because now we're two sober dudes talking about God. That's the only reason I brought it up. I'm not
That's
holding any grudges.
how
God,
classic is that?
you know, there's so many people who make mistakes out there, and let's talk about like Carlos Mencia, right? Who just can't stop talking about how he didn't steal, and every time he does that, he resets his time clock. And then there's people out there, and I don't want to say their name because they've moved on, who were accused of stealing because they were stealing, and they've apologized for it and moved on. Now everyone loves them, or they're at least giving them opportunities because everyone deserves a second chance.
Oh
And
yeah.
God knows I've been given second, third, fourth, fifth, infinity chances. And I would like to think that the guy I am today is able to take care of a lot of the opportunities that have been presented to me. Like, I remember I was excommunicated for a very long time from the Joe Rogan experience. And all I would write down is, I'm going to get back on Joe Rogan. I'm going to get back on Joe Rogan. I'm going to get back on Joe Rogan. And, after enough time, and everyone saw that I'm not a crazy person. By the way, XG, thanks for posting that clip where everyone says I'm on coke.
Yeah, boy, you're
No,
getting
no.
it for that one.
They're just idiots because you're just surprised about what really happened. I almost thought about like deleting it but you're
I
just
do this
surprised.
for some reason. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know why I've never done that before, but suddenly in that clip, my tongue sticks out. And by the way, I will say this to anybody out there: if you think I've relapsed, bring $5,000, bring $5,000 in money. We'll set it down. I will bring $20,000, and we will set it on the table. And then I'll find somebody that I trust to run the drug test, and I will leave with your $5,000. I'm putting that out to anybody. You can do it anytime. You
That's a
think I've relapsed, put money down, and you can quadruple your money
hmm
if you really think I've relapsed.
You also see anybody who spent a long time on speed keeps a few of the ticks.
Oh yeah, I totally have the ticks. If you watch the early years of Conspiracy Social Club, you would think I was tweaking my balls off because I'm like slowly rewiring my brain. And I would tell Brian, I swear to you, on my kids, I haven't relapsed. And it was just like I mean, if you just right there, just see me go, that's a very much a drug thing.
Well,
If you
that and
thought-
you also had Zins in you. I
no,
know
but
for sure you
yeah,
had some Zins in
oh
you.
yeah, during that thing, during. But if you watch Zero Lives Matter in Dallas, it looks like I'm tweaking. And the problem is, like, I didn't realize that I'm also not drinking enough water. I'm dehydrated, so I'm doing like
Yeah.
that. But I would like, dude, I'm not relapsing. I would love the microdose. I make no doubts about that. I'm not gonna lie about that. I would love the microdose during jujitsu. But
Did you
it,
microdose when we were at Float Fest way back when?
no, no.
It was just me.
Yeah. It was just, and microdosing wasn't the thing that it is now. And Xavier Guerrero is microdosing as we speak.
Yep.
It's really why he brings the heat on these shows now.
You know what's funny? I did Laser's podcast the other day, and I kept touching my nose, and I got the same response. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, you and Laser are doing cocaine." I don't.
I don't know how people
I'm
do
not.
coke now. It's just nothing's worth the chance of dying. Even though when I was tweaking my balls off, I was putting myself in some pretty crazy situations. And I would have these moments where I'm like, oh, if my mother saw what I was doing right now, she'd be so sad. And that just like really crushed my soul. You know who else used to judge me? And we'll get off this topic. My dog. Pollyanna used to judge me all the that is the worst part about being a drug addict is your fucking dog going again, dude, again. No, don't look at me. Don't pet me. I'm disgusted with you. Look at you. You're tweaking again. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Pollyanna. Nah, save it. I've heard it. And
See,
she'd
that's
just
why
go
I'm
in the other
glad
room.
I've lived alone the entire time I was a drug addict, and anybody that lived in my house, I owned my house, so anybody that lived there, I was like, hey, it's my rules. If you judge me, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I get it, dude. And because Johnny brought up that Sean Penn had talked about how Charlie Sheen was the only guy he knew could get hard on coke,
Yeah.
and that was my
yeah.
superpower as well.
It's almost that it made me think of you immediately because he was like, listen, when you do speed, you get some very crazy sexual ideas. But for most people, you cannot get an erection while you're on speed. If you want to know what it's like to see those ideas paired with being able to get a hard on speed, ask Charlie Sheen. That's what, and he went.
I wonder if he was shooting himself with something too, because I think that's why what's his face, the white boxer, what was his name? That was really good for a short time in like the 90s. Tommy
Morrison, Tommy the
He
Gun.
was known for shooting stuff right into his ding dong.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I actually have something to say about this. The other day, the other day I got my hands on this stuff called Trimix, and I just wanted to see what it would do because you know, I'm not taking recreational drugs anymore, so I wanted to experiment a little bit. I couldn't help myself, dude. I injected this stuff into my dick. And
what?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. What were you thinking while you were doing it? You're like,
Well,
I'm putting a needle in my dong.
Well, at first I was completely confident in what I was doing, and then I realized that it's not like when you inject testosterone where you can stick this needle straight in real quick, in and out. You gotta get your hand like this, wrap it around the head of your dick, and kind of slinky it out, and then take the needle like a dart and and stick it in at like you know how you hold your hands at 2 and 10? You got to stick it in at like an angle that's like about a 2 o'clock and get it into that spongy penile tissue. and I was totally confident in what I was doing until the last second I started getting nervous, and I hit like a little tiny vein.
Oh my
and
God.
blood came,
Oh my God.
and blood came out, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah.
And I shook, and I accidentally stabbed my dick again.
Oh my God.
And I recorded all of this, by the way.
Of course, everything's got to be content.
Well, it's part of a documentary that I'm working on.
Which is called, what, I'm retarded?
It's called, well, I don't have a name for it yet. But
Okay.
that might be
Hey,
close.
I'm just going to say you do great docs, dude. Like, you found your thing and you've gone fucking head first into it. And
first,
it's great. Yeah, head first in many different ways. But it's really good what you're doing. You have a gonzo kind of reporter way of doing it. You're going on the streets. You're walking up to unstable people, asking crazy questions, laying your life on the line. And I think it's great, dude. And I think people like you are the real journalists out there. You're doing what old journalists used to do back in the day, was go to the source, ask the questions.
Shoe leather reporting.
Yeah, those days are done.
I appreciate that. I'm also trying to get more, do some more investigative, more serious stuff like with this Puerto Rico doc. But before I get into that, I want to finish this real quick.
No, I was gonna bring you back to it. You weren't gonna skip and just go straight to Puerto.
Dude, I freaked out, stabbed my dick twice, and then I finally got it in and I plunged it in, and I don't know if I did it wrong or what happened, but
is there any way to do it right?
Well, it depends who you ask, but the where I injected it, it like swelled up. So my dick was hard, but it had a big lump on the side of it. So I ended up going to the Cuban whorehouse and getting a hand job. But
okay, I mean, I guess everything has a good ending. Happy ending. Where did you do this?
I am absolutely not revealing my sources there. I don't
know.
want that place to get closed down.
You can't say what country?
Oh, Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Come on, baby.
But did the lump go away? Obviously, right? Yeah.
After she jerked me off, and I think the problem was that you're supposed to kind of jelk the liquid around your dick, and I didn't do that.
I didn't think I would hear jelking brought up on this podcast.
Yeah. So I'm doing some really serious journalism. I've turned over a new leaf.
Well, it sounds like it.
That's crazy, dude.
Sounds like it. So real quick, where can they, Gary, tell them where they can find you.
So my Instagram is Street Gonzo, and it keeps getting removed like for various reasons. I talk a lot of shit to the people in my comments because I like to engage with the audience, and I'm a man of the people, but also because I post stuff that is controversial, I guess you could say, stuff that a lot of people don't want to touch on.
Yeah,
And
that's like my stand up, dude. I do the
yeah,
exact same
yeah.
thing.
Most recently, I had something taken down actually, where there was a homeless man taking a shit at, I think it was probably about noon, 1 p.m. in the afternoon, on the fence of the Bedichek Middle School. That's the middle school where Dazed and Confused was filmed here in Austin.
Oh, oh
On the
my
fence of the
God.
middle school, and I saw it. I couldn't even believe what I was seeing for a second. I mean, this is broad daylight. It's not like an alleyway or in the woods or something, or you know. And I stopped my truck and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Like pull your pants up, get the fuck out of here." He wiped one time, threw it on the ground, and I filmed the whole thing. I was furious, dude, because I mean, little kids. This is
Yeah,
a middle school.
exactly. Yes.
And anyways,
Yes.
so people started defending this guy in the comments, and I, used some language to.
Oh, there's so many dumb people on Instagram.
They're just idiots, and they're all rich kids. Trust fund kids are behind every bad idea ever proposed on humanity.
You know what else? It was a lot of white women.
Yeah.
Oh, surprise. Can't believe that.
And it's shocking
I've
how
never
many
heard
of them
that.
there are. It's shocking how many totally stupid people there are every time to me.
Well, it's also that, there's a natural progression in life, and it usually involves having children. But when you don't have children, especially when it comes to women, they take that motherly instinct and they put it on the world, and they start defending people that I mean, Malcolm X, the Unabomber all talked about progressives who, act like they care about you, but really they look down on you. It's like when you hear these progressives go, they can't get a phone or ID to vote.
They don't know
just
how to
can't
use
do
the
it.
internet.
They don't know how to use the internet. I mean, like that says what you really think about people.
Yeah, I unfortunately agree with you. I don't know how to even reverse engineer that at this
You're
point.
not
because
going to, dude. They're going to have to die out. And it sucks because, it's just, and the programming starts very early, and it's a lot of guilt about where they are in their life and the blessings they have, and they just have a lot of shame that they were born into a wonderful situation. They don't realize that probably in their past life they did something noble and they got blessed to be at the top of the food chain, but instead of being happy about that, they tend to want to scorch the earth. And if you look at someone like Whitney Cummings, and some people can have their opinion on her, she's a friend of mine. Has she been perfect over the last 10 years? No. But again, you got to let people, you got to give people a chance to grow and change. But if you look at her, she's gotten more conservative. The minute she had a kid, and now she has an investment in the future and what the world's going to be when her kid is in their 20s, her view of everything has changed. And that's what happens when you have kids. You tend to become more conservative because you don't want to leave like the world on fire to your children. But when you don't have kids, you don't really have an investment unless you're like really invested in your nephews and nieces, which does happen, but a lot of times it doesn't. You have no investment in the moment after you take your last breath. So you don't care. You're just voting for yourself and your self-interest at that moment. And what you perceive as hate, like, especially in California, like the theory of hate is 10 times worse than actual real world consequences. Like I say it all the time, you could be getting mugged pumping $7 of gas and you still will not vote out the people that allowed that situation to happen.
Yeah, the Charlie Kirk response, the public response from some people is sort of indicative of that. But I do think that the media is largely responsible for manufacturing narratives that are being fed to the.
My favorite thing is the media is like, we got to tone down this political rhetoric. Like you're the one who's done it.
Yeah. What do you mean we? Don't put me in your vote,
Unfortunately, my girlfriend, no matter how much MSNBC lies, she just can't stop watching it. And
Dude.
I just sit there and listen to complete and utter fucking provably false statements they make. And she just eats it all up.
And they defend the worst people too. That the reason I brought up that Instagram thing was because my account got removed for that because they said posting that video, that guy was harassing him. Like I was harassing this guy shitting in public. No, what I'm doing is I'm recording a felony grade sex crime against a child that is happening in public, and I'm showing people. I'm a journalist, and in this case, I'm exposing a crime. Why would they defend that? My theory is that the only people that would defend that kind of behavior at a level, somebody that's running a company like social media, for example, is that they have those same inclinations. I could be wrong. I'm not a psychologist.
Well, it's all a Bolsheviks, pressure from above, pressure from below.
Dude.
And that's what it's all about. When the FBI's like putting out AI written text threads.
Dude, what the fuck is that about? What I know you probably already talked this into the ground.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it, and I'm okay with talking about it. But this is pressure from above, pressure from below. They want crime on the streets, and they want us to think that the politicians aren't going to save us. So the only answer is martial law. That's it.
Yeah, it's always it kind of reminds me of how Pam Bondi was talking about hate speech. I don't know if you saw that.
How crazy is that the Trump administration is now all about censorship when they ran completely on no censorship? You remember that big speech?
It's the same thing as the Epstein files, man.
Trump gave a historic speech about stopping social media people from censoring people, and it was like one of those kind of moments where you're like, wow, dude, this guy is in the zone. He nailed it. This will be a speech that will be talked about forever. And then not even within a year of being in office, he's completely changed his views on it. And I'm sorry, I can't sit there and act like this guy's done anything but completely backstab his base in every single way. But I say this all the time. It's got to get worse before it gets better. And that's why it's not, and the truth is, it's not getting worse. It's just getting more obvious. This has always been what they're doing. It's just now through the whatever reason Elon's letting it happen on Twitter. He's allowing it to happen, and people are connecting dots and noticing shit.
You know what it reminds me of is kind of reminds me of the Patriot Act after 9/11, with the NSA allowed to just freely spy on Americans across the country under the guise of monitoring Muslim extremism, and then it's left-wing extremism, and then it was right-wing extremism. Now it's left-wing extremism. It's black versus white. Left versus right, Muslim versus Christian. It's always you versus me, and it's nobody ever looks at the big picture. The media class and the owners want people divided and radicalized so that we commit political violence against one another, and then politicians can use that political violence to justify crackdowns on free speech. And in this case, they're using hate speech as that's the vessel they're using to push this bullshit on us.
It's like assault weapons. What's an assault weapon? Well, it can never give you the definition.
How many people still think that AR stands for assault rifle?
Oh, yeah. So dumb.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane. I worked in adjacent to the firearms industry for the first 6 years of my career with Michael Cargill. We ended up Cargill was suing the ATF for the bump stock lawsuit. We ended up going to the Supreme Court. We won the case. When I say we, I mean him. I was just his producer, but I like to ride his coattails a little bit. And the whole time I would talk to people all the time and explain to them AR stands for Armalite.
Yeah,
who came up with what? It just blows my mind.
Here's where we're at in society, and I know a lot of people are getting fatigued with everything going on, and I'm telling you, the days of only paying attention every 2 years and every 4 years are done. Okay? And you have to get involved. You have to get involved in your school boards. You have to get involved in your city councils. Those days are done of just like, hey, I trust these guys. Days are done. They took advantage of that. They completely screwed you. And now you have to show up at these meetings and check these motherfuckers. Yeah. So when this Charlie Kirk sad day of assassinations happened. They passed three. They tried to pass 3 bills. Okay, bono, and they were
Didn't they
all
block the Epstein files too?
well. They blocked the Epstein files. They tried to, and they may still do it. Pass a rule that if you boycott Israel as a business, they can. It's a crime.
That's fucking scary, dude.
Well, that is literally a First Amendment violation. And then the next one is they were going to make it, and there's a lot of fogginess when it comes to exactly what they were trying to pass. But there was a rumor that they were going to be able to revoke the passports of natural born American citizens, which is total
What?
chaos. That ended up getting shelved. But everything's about FEMA camps, dude. My FEMA camp number is going to be in single digits. Number 9, Sam AAA, you get to pick a bunk. You know, so
You know
those
what,
days are
man?
done.
These people are playing, I say this all the time, these people are playing 6-dimensional backgammon online, and we're playing tic-tac-toe on a fucking McDonald's napkin.
Yeah.
And some people are just playing with their dicks. You know, they're so apathetic and they're so caught up in their own bullshit. And I've been using this quote a lot lately since this Charlie Kirk assassination, is that apathy to public affairs, the result of apathy to public affairs to be ruled by evil men. Plato said that. It doesn't even matter who said that. The point is that it's totally valid, especially right now, because these people that are all sort of in the middle that haven't chose a side, and they're like, well, you know, it doesn't affect me yet. It fucking will eventually.
It will. I want to try to show you a video if I can find it right now of what Plato said would happen in a republic. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you.
Is it just me, or are we?
It is.
Is it just me? Are
No,
we
it's
living
not.
out Rome 2.0?
I mean, everything, Johnny. I'm gonna text you this, and I would love for you to.
That's what
I would
Sam
love.
Hyde says, by the way, on his last episode. But he's also calling for military in the streets to solve
Who?
crime. So Sam Hyde, the podcast.
We'll get into that
artist,
though,
video
because
maker.
my buddy on my other show thought that Sam High was stoking division, and I didn't see it like that. I see it as calling out what's happening right now, which is cultural Marxism. That's full on in what's going on right now. Pressure from above, pressure from below, and they're trying to get us so scared and full of anxiety that we beg for martial law.
You know what, dude? That everything you're saying is stuff that I've been thinking a lot about lately. I have a theory about how the media operates there. It's like a controlled burn. They stoke the flames of division, but they control how high the flame goes. And
I
they
love
do
that.
They do that because they do that because they don't want it to get too out of control too fast. Otherwise, people really will figure out what's going on, and then all hell will break loose. They want to do it like a toad in that slow boiling pot of water.
100%. That's
You know who
exactly.
said something really similar to this was Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Are you familiar?
No, I'm
He wrote-
retarded.
He gave
The
he
Gulag
gave a
Archive.
Harvard speech. I don't even remember what year it was, but it was, you know, modern history. It was relatively recently, and he talked about how, you know, democracy falls into socialism, or rather capitalism falls into socialism, falls into a feudal system, falls into a fascist system, or I probably butchered that, but the point is he said something very similar.
wouldn't
A lot
know.
of people have noted that. I mean, dude, societies are almost like living organisms that have a life cycle, and I think I'm stealing that from some philosopher as well. I've been reading a
Well-
lot of philosophy lately.
Yeah, I mean, because the people at the top are always in charge, so this is their natural progress. It's kind of like, let's say, YouTube, right? YouTube used conspiracy theorists to build their platform. That's why everyone went there to go watch Loose Change and all that shit. And then once they get to a certain level and they got their numbers they want, they start running off the people they don't like, even though those are the people that built the platform. And then eventually it gets down to the only people getting seen is Mr. Beast, which is vapid, demonic, stupid shit.
It's like the fucking Squid Games, man.
Have you heard that the people who win on Mr. Beast go crazy or missing?
No, but there was that one crazy one I watched where the guy was losing weight and then his trainer dies in the middle of it. I mean, there's some dark stuff around this Mr. Beast things, man.
I mean, his name is Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Also reminds you, remember that book that Van Neistat talked about, and we've talked about it here before too, Sam. The Fourth Turning. That how the society goes in these like 80 to 100-year cycles, where it's like everything's fine, and then you have this kind of period of time where things kind of turns to individualism, and you start questioning the institutions. That's kind of like the summer of it, and then you have the unraveling in the fall as the institutions weaken and society becomes fragmented, and then you have crisis. That's the fourth turning, which is where we're about to be now.
Who said that?
War, and it's from this book called The Fourth Turning by this guy William Strauss.
Dude, I think that's who I was inadvertently quoting.
Oh,
about
okay,
the,
yeah,
the
sure,
organic.
yeah, well, that's it then, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, but it's all happening and it's all astroturfed, and it's all manufactured. And
So
so you always hear people say like, "Oh, you can always tell when the republic is dying is when the trans come out," and it's the truth because what they do is create culture wars to cover up the fact that the elites have been robbing the middle and lower class blind. COVID did that. All of these bailouts in 2008 did that, extracting wealth from the middle class and lower class and giving it to the rich. So we're about to have a guy on named Ben. Ben's a friend of mine out of Chicago. He's telling me about this doc called. It's like 3 hours long, but it's called Money Masters, and they were talking about how at some point Nixon decided to audit the Fort Knox, and they went there to see to count how much gold was there, and it was all gone. There's no gold there. So then, right after that, an anonymous source comes out and said that the Rockefellers had stolen all of it and given it to all their friends who were the uber elites. And 2 days later, Rockefeller's secretary, who was the anonymous source, fell off a balcony and died. So you remember when Trump was like, "Yeah, we're going to audit the Fort Knox," and then that story just died?
Gone.
Gone. You know what else is gone, guys? Tucker's 9/11 documentary. You remember he was going to do like a 5 points.
What happened to it?
Where is it? 9/11 came and went.
all the FEMA money that was supposed to be sent to Puerto Rico, which is one of the things I wanted to talk to you
Yeah,
about
let's
today.
get into it. Let's talk about Puerto Rico.
So there is an agency called PREPA, the Puerto Rican Electric Power Authority, and they manage the Puerto Rican power grid. And they went bankrupt in July 2017, a month before Hurricane Maria. And since then, Biden and Trump have both sent massive expenditures of FEMA money to Puerto Rico, but nothing's been fixed because, well, they can't necessarily access all this money because the power company is still in bankruptcy proceedings to this day. And Trump just fired, I believe it was 5, maybe 6 of the members of the FOMB, which is the Financial Oversight Management Board, I believe. And I went down to Puerto Rico and I was just looking to see how people are living down there, and it is fucked. It is so bad. This is a U.S. territory.
You flew to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I went down there, and that's the documentary we're working on right now. And I've sort of uncovered some corruption that's kind of freaked me out a little bit because there was a guy that I was talking to in La Perla, which is the arguably most dangerous ghetto in Puerto Rico. But this guy grew up there, and he knew some people there, so we were safe there. And when we were talking to him, he goes, you guys are really risky to do this. And I thought, well, what do you mean by that? I thought we were safe with you here. And he goes, no, not this. The government. And I thought,
the most powerful gang.
Yeah. So basically, we've been looking into these. There's some lawyers that have been managing the bankruptcy proceedings, and they're profiting off of what's going on. They get paid something like $1,000 an hour when the average Puerto Rican is getting paid $750, $800 a week. And those Puerto Ricans are the taxes they pay are going to those lawyers.
It's
And
crazy, dude.
and there's a couple of other instances as well. There was a guy, Maurice Spagnoletti. He was a guy from New Jersey. He was the vice president of Doral Bank, and he was investigating some corruption at Doral Bank. And he fired somebody for embezzlement. And then the day before his wife's birthday, I think this was 2011, he gets shot 9 times, 4 times in the head. Nobody really knows what happened. 8 years later, 6 guys get arrested for drug trafficking and conspiracy and murder charges. But that bank, Doral Bank, ended up getting sold to, I believe, the biggest bank on the island, which the name escapes me right now. But there's a lot of weird shit like that down there in Puerto Rico, and I'm not going to be going back there anytime soon because maybe I'm paranoid, but I am actually a little bit fearful for my safety. There was a crypto millionaire. Let me give me 1 second. I think his name was, yeah, here it is, Nikolai Mushigian. Nikolai Mushigian.
Oh, sounds Armenian.
He is. His parents were from the Soviet Union, and he has Armenian and Russian ancestry. But he talked a lot about decentralization of finances and stuff like that. And then he tweeted something. I don't know. I don't know the exact tweet off the top of my head, but
I know what it was. That basically about how satanic pedophiles run like a satanic child trafficking ring, and they run the world.
yeah, he tweeted about the Mossad and the CIA running some sort of pedophile ring, and his ex-girlfriend was gonna turn evidence into them on him, and they were gonna torture and kill him, and then he died 5 hours later, found in the water, drowned. There's a lot of
Dead.
stuff like that in Puerto Rico, and I mean, dude, I'm not really scared of anything in terms of what's that? Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. He was sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well, you're saying you're not really afraid of anything, but
Yeah, I'm dude, Sam, I interview people on the street all the time that are completely insane. I started out my career interviewing prostitutes and homeless people. I almost got stabbed the first time I ever went and did interviews. I'm not scared of that kind of stuff all that much because
I
kinda
am.
figure,
Damn, but I love that shit. I love that shit.
That's the thing. I figure if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. All I can do is carry a gun on me. But with stuff like this, I feel like I'm looking over my shoulder, and I start feeling like I'm kind of losing it a little bit. I'm a little paranoid, but we'll see what happens. I think what we're doing is really important, so I'm going to keep doing it. Obviously, I mean, I'll never quit. If I all of a sudden say, all right, guys, I'm no longer a journalist, I'm going to go live in Chile for the rest of my life. You know what happened?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 types of people who get taken out. The ones who take money from the elites and they fund their artificial rise that's very quick and nobody understands it or they're amazed by it. And then at some point they want to go off the reservation. Tupac was like that. Even I say Louis C.K.'s like that. Louis C.K. was like juiced in more than anybody. And then he started producing his own sitcoms and all that stuff on his own website, and he was keeping the money, and he wasn't paying off the money masters who basically paid for his rise. Now you're like, well, Louis C.K. is the funniest guy to ever do it. I'm not going to argue with that. Okay, I'm not going. I think Louis C.K. is an all-time great. There's a discussion of him being one of the greatest to ever do it, but you don't get those opportunities unless people pull strings and open doors for you. Doesn't matter how talented you are. And when he started producing his own specials, started producing his own sitcoms, that's what gets you in trouble. Same thing with Prince, same thing with Michael Jackson, same thing with Charlie Kirk. So that's one way. And then the other way is the Gary Webb, which is if you, I hate to say it, but if you discover or uncover something that could send people to jail. That seems to be the line. If you could send people to jail, is when they get really froggy and they go, nah, that's not happening. Gary Webb changed the way we looked at the CIA. I mean, that was the first time we realized that the CIA was working against us and that they were funding their black op operations through cocaine sales.
It's insane. And then they had his own colleagues destroy him. His own paper said that he was full of shit. I mean,
that's a big Tucker Carlson point. That's a big thing
Yeah.
that they hold up against him.
yeah. Well,
he
which he
was-
admits all that. He owns all of that stuff, by the way. I heard him the other day talking. He's like, I had a lot of stupid things that I've done and made a lot of mistakes. So I give him credit at least for owning it. But man, the whole industry of journalism turned against that guy and just destroyed his life until he killed
And
him.
then he shot himself twice in the
Oh,
back of the
that's-
head. I mean, come on. Like, first time you don't do it, you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. You're like, fuck it, try it again. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
Or when a guy who worked for the Clintons he's found hanging and shot at the same time. Like, who does that?
It's interesting because his family thinks he killed himself, but then nobody else does. Like everybody else who's seen the evidence is like, no. So it makes
Ooh,
you
which
wonder.
one?
Gary Webb's family thinks that he probably killed himself, but it makes you wonder: did they get to him? Get to
Of-
them rather? I mean,
Of
Yep,
course,
Yeah.
dude.
Hey,
Of
you know what's
course.
interesting? That guy, the crypto millionaire in Puerto Rico, his friends all think he killed himself, but guess who doesn't? His family. It's the
interesting.
exact same thing.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's the same thing with the open AI
Yes.
quote unquote whistleblower who suicided himself.
Ugh.
His whole family's like, he didn't kill himself. He didn't want to kill himself. He never wanted to kill himself. You know, I mean, and then he gets taken out, man. It's like they don't care.
That's the same thing with John McAfee. He was he was in Puerto Rico for a little bit, and he dipped out, and I don't think he
Dude.
killed himself.
John McAfee was my boy, dude. Check it out.
Shit, whacked. Yeah, and you get a tattoo like that too that says whacked. I mean,
Dude, that was McAfee was the first person of real notability that I interviewed, and he was the one that sort of opened my mind to how things actually work. And I don't, dude. That guy either did not kill himself or he's not even dead.
Where do you think he is right now?
Of all the people to have the resources, by the way, to do what you're
Yeah.
talking about, he's the one. I mean, for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, so this gets into an episode we just do. It's going to drop over the weekend. But it's like, okay, if these guys are faking their own death, where are they? Where are they, dude? I mean, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm totally open minded. Anything is on the table on this show. I'm open minded to it all. But
see,
You're
but okay,
talking-
no,
you're-
but to me is what John McAfee. I think he offed himself, like he got off the grid. Those are two different things. Where he kind of like got off the grid. It's very different when like the government kills you, and then people say like Tupac's dead. To me, Tupac's dead. He's not on an island. But John McAfee and Jeffrey Epstein, I could see them like being in like on one of their islands, like literally just in the cut. I don't know if we're gonna talk about anybody who's alive. It's like John McAfee, it's Jeffrey Epstein, but like Tupac, when they say Biggie and all those, and I don't know. To me, those guys are dead.
no, I'm not against that. I mean, I'm not against that. The only issue I have is like, you know, Gary and I have had extreme drug issues, and Gary gets sober for how long now?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and he's already shooting fucking needles in his dick. I mean, it's like it is we are creatures of habit. You know, we're creatures of habit. So what and this goes back to, you know, when Joey's talking about, and that episode will come out after here, but when he's talking about like Kobe Bryant, all these people that are like in the limelight, surrounded by people and all this action all the time. Everything they could possibly want, from wealth and women or men, whatever they may be into, is around, and then suddenly they're just going to go chill in Valhalla in New Zealand. If you tell me they go down to Antarctica and there's a whole world there where they can just do whatever they want whenever they want, and but somehow that you've convinced every one of them to never talk to their kids again, that always seems hard. Now,
Yeah.
the Michael Jackson story, where there's all these weird people that walk around near him that look like they're in fucking full-on masks, and he hangs out with his kids, that starts to make a little sense to me. But the other stuff is like, where are they? And like Johnny says, you know, it's like literally one of the few Occam razors that I will because I think that is a psyop to get you to just the simplest answer is the real answer. But with this, it's like it's easier just to kill them. It's way easier. It's just like, yeah, we loved you, but time to wrap it up. Time to go.
Okay.
And we all, you know, we're all psychopaths. Nobody feels a bit of, you know, like Hillary Clinton just allowing all the guys at Benghazi to die and not even batting an eyelash. And then she's like, it happened. What can we do? We got to move on. It's like, how cold-blooded that. Imagine your family's listening, the family of the victims, and the lady who refused to send backup security is like, what do we got to do? It happened. We got to move on. I mean, like, there's no more psychopath statement than that. It happened. Let's move on. I mean, that's the sound of guilt.
Zero empathy.
But you get into Puerto Rico and all of this corruption, like there's no more corrupt than someone who's willing to fuck their own people. Like, I remember watching a movie saying there's the only people they won't work with are people who are willing to fuck their own people over, because there's something about that. And then eventually those people always get taken out, because even the elites don't want anyone who will turn on their own family and friends and community. Nobody likes that scumbag, because they'll eventually turn on you. Right. But I mean, like, you're talking about Puerto Rico, all these funds. I mean, you interviewed me after the fires, which nobody's been held accountable for. Not one person has been held accountable. One lesbian fire chief got fired, and she's suing Karen Bass. But LA has learned helplessness. They have Stockholm syndrome. And all these people who are trying to work in this dead industry called Hollywood refuse to call out this bitch. It's fucking crazy to me. And when it all comes out that 100 million, if not more, has disappeared and no one's done a thing about it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing in Puerto Rico. They have people there living. We walked through this guy's house, Rudy, and this guy has gotten no help. He's a veteran, and he's got no roof. He's got his windows that were blown out from hurricanes are filled with cement blocks. His house is daisy chained to his neighbors because the electric keeps going out. There's power surges that are blowing up his TV and, blowing up his refrigerator. I mean, sometimes quite literally. There's small businesses like restaurants that have to buy all new equipment all the time. They're really just kind of left for dead, hung out to dry.
And it's crazy that no one will do anything about it. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, and it's no matter even what I say, or really what anybody in a position such as mine would do or say, seems like you could expose people doing the most heinous crime, and unless our government decides that something should be done, nothing will be done about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, they are the cops, they are the prosecutor, they are the defense attorney, they are the judge, and they are the jury. They have every single part on lockdown. Like, I don't know if you watch Daredevil on Netflix, but literally the last 2 seasons on Netflix were basically the story of Karen Bass. Like, she is literally a gangster running crimes while the people cheer her on. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And it's okay if you're like, hey, man, I'm on this team or that team. But even in sports, they get rid of the bad coach or the bad GM. They're just keeping the same bad coach running the same corrupt plays over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the government of Puerto Rico being complicit with these lawyers running up the tab on.
Because they're all getting paid out too.
Yeah, and I also would be inclined to say, and I don't have evidence of this, but just going out on a limb, that any corruption that's happening in Puerto Rico, people in DC are familiar with that. They're aware of it.
Because everyone's getting paid. Everyone's lining their pockets. We are in the age of greed. That I heard a bunch of comics talking about how this is the age of extreme greed in comedy. It's never enough. People have to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I don't like fame. If I could figure out a way to be able to take care of my family and not be in front of the camera, I would love that. Obviously, I would have to help the guys on the show make money and somehow, or go down to 1 episode a week or something like that. Like something.
You could fake your own death, dude.
He
Yeah,
talks
John
about it all the
McAfee.
time, dude. Bro, he talks
I
about
mean,
all the
Johnny-
time.
Johnny's working on it. We've done so much content. AI can just make a Sam Tripoli episode. Me and Kyle just
Bang,
contribute.
bro. I might be free.
Yeah.
But then I would have to get somebody, the AI that looks like me and talks like me, but no, doesn't look like me, but talks like me and fills in perfectly, just steps right in.
Dude, I
Right?
gotta be honest. I tried something the other day to recreate my voice in AI just for as an experiment, and it's good, dude. It's really good. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's really good. In fact,
Yeah,
a
but
lot
can
I've noticed.
AI feel what it felt like to get molested by Larry Watts? Can bring that trauma?
No, and that's the most important thing about you. I've always said that you were molested by Larry Watts. Really, that's why people
I
resonate.
got felt up by Larry Watts
Yeah.
and sent me down a
Hey
dark
Johnny.
hole of sexual addiction.
Hey Johnny, if you did that AI fake voice to your parents, because you got somebody that really knows your voice, that's been hearing you for years, like family. You think you can get them yet?
Yeah. If you especially if you pretended like put some effects over it, like so it sounded like a shitty phone call or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you, I mean, they're using it already to scam people out of money. Oh, dude, no. I mean, I remember last year, maybe early last year, Adobe unveiled that tech for the first time, or maybe 2 years ago now, and it stunned the audience. The whole audience was like, "Oh my god, dude, this is crazy!" And now I mean, I told you, nobody. I mean, like, oh, really? Okay, yeah. I mean, makes sense.
And that's just what we know about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean,
And that's probably 40-year-old technology.
yeah. I mean,
Like you've seen a quantum leap in the AI they're giving us because we're probably 25, 30, 35 years behind what they really got, and they're slow rolling it out. But this Charlie Kirk thing is the first AI crime scene that we know of. I mean, there's a lot of people think 9/11 had a lot of AI in it because they had the technology way back in the 80s. Some people think they had it way before that as well.
really, you think they had the compute power to do that back then? Huh?
I think the robots we're seeing right now are like 40-year-old versions of they're just slow rolling it out. They probably got ninja robots now who can just move and bend time and do high kicks to the head and assassinate everybody. They probably already got that. Who knows if any of these assassins might be robots?
I mean, the planes were definitely drones.
I mean, you can't say definitely, but I'm with you
So,
on
yeah.
that. I mean, I got in an argument about that. I get that's the story of my life.
I could see that. Well, to me, what's the difference between a remote piloted plane and a drone? I don't see any meaningful difference
No,
there.
what I meant was there's no way that two hijackers had the chances of both hitting them. Like that was literally like it was
Yeah, I
programmed
mean
in a GPS.
the physics doesn't make any sense to have
But yeah,
commercial
you
plane.
hear some people say there's nobody on board the planes. I just don't buy that. But
I mean, Operation Northwood. What
yeah,
if
but
they
I mean,
landed those people?
I mean,
And those
we're all
people,
a few degrees from somebody who died on 9/11, though. Like you can find the pretty well documented the people that were on those planes. Like,
so okay,
it doesn't matter.
so
You know, my opinion is always like if they can kill people, they don't care. They'll do it. And I think they did. So anyway,
okay, so oh fuck, I just don't. I think I got rid of the video, but there was basically a video of someone's taking those old flip phone screens
uh-huh.
and putting it to videos where they say there's the Mandela effect, and they're actually seeing what everyone used to see, which means
Okay, hold on. I think I have it here. It says Mandela effect flip phone camera. Is that
I've been saying this forever that they created the internet. They could have a program that manipulates videos and pictures in real time. Now, the one thing he did, he put it up to Jiffy, and it showed a different thing.
we
And
just saw that one.
yeah, I mean that's what I'm commenting on.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's Jiffy Pop. People are confusing GIF with Jiffy Pop. Is what that is.
Yeah, so it's like everything is mental manipulation. Back to what we wanted to talk about. I want to get into the Texas floods with you because you were right around there. So before, I think it was July 4th that happens.
Yeah.
You see a lot of Zionist content creators saying something big is coming, something big is coming, something big is coming. And everyone was like, oh, they're going to false flag us again. Like, then it comes down to, regardless of what you think happened that day, a lot of people have questions about Charlie Kirk's assassination. But on July 4th, these giant floods happen, and 100 Christian girls die, getting back into sacrifice. Like a week before that, or right before that, that Theo Vaughn looking motherfucker who's been talking about
Augustus Dorico, the CEO of Rainmaker. He was on Sean
Right.
Ryan's show.
He was talking about seeding, and his whole thing was, I didn't seed that. I seeded 120 miles away, which is a hilarious thing to say, because even a retard like myself knows that the ecosystem is very well balanced. Right. So if you mess with something over here, it's going to cause a chaos over here. It's a balance thing. So when you're like, I didn't do it over there. I did 120 miles away. That has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, and also the winds were blowing from where they were seeding towards where the flood happened. So he was doing that 2 days prior, July 2nd. And
100%.
and he said they only put a small amount of silver iodide into those clouds, and that it could only create so much rain that it couldn't get to the point where it was at. But he has no real reason to tell the truth. I'm not saying that he did this or that he is responsible or a patsy for somebody
I'm not
else.
saying that he's not responsible either.
Right. I'm just saying that it is really bizarre. And people don't realize that cloud seeding has been around since 1946 at least.
It's been in the 1800s. You should talk to Jim Lee. He's got all the newspaper clips of them seeding weather.
Right.
It's so crazy how like everybody now acknowledges it too. And 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, it was like fringe conspiracy stuff.
Oh yeah, you're crazy. Oh, you think the Jews control the weather? That was the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember when that one black politician was like, the Rothschilds control the weather? And then, of course, all Hollywood's like, he's saying the Jews control the weather. It's like, no, he said specifically who he thought did it.
Well, think about this, dude. I don't know if you're familiar with Operation Popeye in Vietnam.
No, tell me about it.
So it was between 67 and 72. The U.S. Air Force was using cloud seeding to try and flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail to disrupt logistics and supply routes and stuff. And these American journalists for the New York Times, they basically exposed this, which led to a UN convention in 1977 where cloud seeding was banned as a weapon of war. So it was effective enough to get it banned, back in the 70s. So where's it at now? I think that their capabilities are much higher than what they're admitting publicly.
Well, the new way they're getting around it is that, like, states like Tennessee, and I think Florida's now doing it as well, and maybe even Texas, is like there's no more spraying of the skies, right? And I wonder if cloud seeding is seen as different than pumping all these chemtrails into the skies. But their way around that, guys, is that legally a state only controls 10,000 feet above the ground. So if you go 10,001 feet, you're now legally above the control of the state. So that's where they're spraying now.
Interesting. Because I know that Augustus Dorico and Rainmaker were working with the Texas, some agency within the Texas government. And you know that Dorico was a Peter Thiel fellow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, this guy, the guy who just gave a speech on the Antichrist, and it's sold out.
And also his name.
I'm struggling to sell 100 tickets in Chicago at a 7 p.m. fucking show because Notre Dame's playing their first home game. And this guy's doing a lecture on the Antichrist and sells out instantly. Unbelievable.
You know what's crazy is that if you rearrange the letters of Peter Thiel's name, it comes out to
reptilian.
The reptile, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means anything, but
it does mean he's a fucking reptile. That's what that fucking means.
Look at the guy.
Look at the guy. The guy's sweating without sweating. How do you do that? How do you not sweat while looking completely sweaty? And the
Yeah.
craziest thing about cloud seeding and chemtrails is that Disney now is going back to old movies and taking out the blue skies and putting in cloudy skies.
What?
Yes.
Huh.
So that no one remembers when there were blue skies.
I'll have to look into that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean they're all dark arts, dude. It's
So
just ridiculous. And how about Kash Patel 2 weeks before the Charlie Kirk incident fires the head of the FBI in Utah, who was well regarded as a excellent agent. She was Muslim, and he fired her 2 weeks before.
That's crazy.
yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies with this Charlie Kirk assassination.
I just
public
can't believe how
execution.
many people just are buying hook, line, and sinker.
You
Like
know,
people that I love are like, dude, come on, get off the Israel thing. Just go with the dude. It's a transferry. Come on, man.
I think that we're not really going to ever be able to determine what actually happened there because you can't trust the government, you can't trust the news, you can't trust social media. So we live in a post-truth age, and the only thing we can really control is what our response is to this collectively as Americans. So I think it's really important that we understand on both sides of the aisle, really on all sides of the aisle, I should say, any side of the political horseshoe, that we don't kill other people with dissenting opinions and we condemn everybody that does, because otherwise we're not going to be able to maintain the fabric of our society, and we're going to live in a fucking dystopian, totalitarian, fascist hellscape. And I also don't think that the people in this country who claim to be fascists, I don't think they even want that secretly, but they're kind of just saying that as a platitude.
Well, they're completely controlled. They're completely and utterly blackmailed and controlled. Every single one of them. You know, if you study Bill Clinton's history, he catches an SA charge very early in his college career, miraculously gets off on it, and then that's how they got you. Same thing with Snoop Dogg. He was on trial for murder, gets off when they got him dead to rights, and then he's got him. And then he comes out about gay shit in kids' movies. He gets so much shit, he has to apologize. Because you, again, when they blow you up and the entire gangster rap fucking genre is astroturfed to control black people, he has to dance or else they'll off that motherfucker. You think
Yeah.
that they offed Charlie Kirk, if you want to believe that's real, and I do, right? I mean, if they're gonna off that guy in front of everybody, you don't think they'll off a rapper? A grandpa rapper? He's your grandpa. This guy's bringing his grandkids to movies, and they're like, "Damn, Grandpa Snoop." You're like, "What?" My kid knows about Snoop Dogg. She's 5. I'm like, "How do you know about Snoop Dogg?" I saw him on Kid Show. I'm like, "Oh God, they beat me early."
Yeah, well, and then there's that infamous alleged meeting between people that were producing records and the investing in private prisons back in the early 90s that were conspiring to basically push music that would influence certain populations to commit crimes. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because they own the prisons, right? I mean, that's a giant. Chad
Yeah.
Zumach won't stop calling me. What do you want from me, dude? All right.
With the Texas thing, to wrap that up, at least while I'm here, because I got to get going. I didn't realize that somebody else had to use the mix the equipment in here, so I got to
Okay.
split the next couple minutes. But what I do want to say about the Texas flood thing was that, regardless of what made it happen, I think it's really important that we take events like those and we see the good that people do out of them. Like, people from all over Texas were coming together. I mean, all over Texas. We met people that were sleeping in their trucks to volunteer. We met a guy that was from New Mexico. He hitchhiked there and was sleeping in a tent inside of one of the houses that was flooded out, just to keep volunteering. So I think that kind of bridging any sort of, racial or political or sexual bridging those divides. I think that's important because we're at like a breaking point. It feels like.
Well, they want you to demand martial law.
Yeah, that's really what it seems like. It seems like they want the left wing people to demand that, and they also want the right wing people. Those are the two sides of the horseshoe that are, in my opinion, most malleable because they're the most emotional, really.
Well, you also manipulate rich kids who don't have any problems, so they have to make up problems. They have to fight windmills and shadows and caves. So you make these big issues for them that have nothing to do with their life because their life is really good. So they have to fucking pick up the mantle for someone else's injustice and their oppression. I mean, they've done studies. I know you got to go, but they've done studies where most of the people in Hollywood that got all the DEI jobs all came from Ivy League schools. So it's just like, who you really helping? I'm not saying like there's people like Tiffany Haddish who came from, foster care, and Jamar Neighbors who came from foster care that get big pops. But I mean, for the most part, it's just rich kids cosplaying oppressed. That it's just gets them off. It's just, there used to be this female comic who was like this tall, gorgeous female comic, and she was just all into the Me Too, and she would just act like she had to escape the fucking plantation just to get to an open mic. Like that's the way she carried herself, the way she tried to act like she was so impressed, even though she was gorgeous, tall, and everyone loved them. It's
Dude,
like crazy.
what one more thing real quick. What's your opinion on Nick Fuentes?
Well, it's very interesting you bring this up because Nick Fuentes is going through a little thing right now because he's doubling down that there's no connection to Israel. And everyone's going, that's a really weird 180 from this guy.
Sure is, boy.
I mean, really weird. And even his own fans are like annihilating him for it. So the question becomes, after Charlie Kirk gets taken out, is it like, hey, listen, you can be next, or you can take this fat sum of cash, this fractional reserve banking money that we just printed out of nowhere, and you could take these millions of dollars and start playing fucking ball. And even his rise could be seen as astroturfing. Because now Nick Fuentes, all of his stuff gets cut up and put onto other. There's people whose whole channel is breaking down Nick Fuentes content. So it's like, yeah, for 5 years or so, you were banned to the darkest, deepest realms of the internet, but now you're fucking everywhere.
Yeah. Dude, I almost think that the wave of anti-Semitism on Instagram and on really all social media, I guess, it's almost like it's a psyop in and of itself.
Well, Israel wants everybody to hate them. That's why it's part of their biblical prophecy. That's why they're filming everything. That's why they're taking these big swings with laws and possible connections to assassination. Because biblically, it's foretold that the world will go to war with Israel. That's what they want. These old, crazy retards, these religious retards who are like 85, and they're like, when is this going to happen? I've been doing this my whole life. Come on, let's get it going.
Yeah, it's like they want they want to manufacture the Bible, or not the Bible, the Talmud, I guess that's the book. It's like they want to manufacture it to
100%. They're following a script and they're manufacturing it happening.
Dude, did you know that the number one supporter of Zionism in America is actually Christian white Protestants?
Yeah, 100%, because they're fucking retards too. They're retards. I mean, dude, they filed the Schofield Bible, and the truth of the matter is like, and Johnny, you can argue with me with this or not, but the state of Israel is not the Israel of the Bible. The Israel of the Bible is a mindset of following the teachings of Jesus. And you look how everyone's going after Jesus, everyone's going after Christianity. That is Israel. Is the teachings of Jesus, the connections to Abraham. That's what that is.
No, and I think I mean, Israel wasn't a country in the modern sense for sure.
Yeah, it's just they've just completely. Yeah, go on.
It was like,
sorry.
I mean, it was like I would say in the early days, especially, it was like a confederation of kingdoms. I guess you would say like a collection of these kingdoms, like small regional states. It just wasn't how things were. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Yeah.
And like I said on Rogan, he let me give one prediction. Europe will go in and they will basically police the situation between Palestinians and Israel, and you already see that now with basically Spain sending 50 boats of food to Gaza, and Israel's going to have to make a decision: are they going to go to war with Spain?
Yeah.
And that will be the beginning of it.
Oh man,
It's all biblically prophesized. And they're just, I don't know if Spain's playing into it because they might have these crazy zealots, but that's what these fucking whack jobs who basically live on welfare and get paid to study the Talmud are trying to make. That's your life.
Which I saw Ben Shapiro with his, bloody mic that he picked up, predicting that this thing will be over in 2 weeks in Israel. So we'll see. I mean, he was optimistic that it was nearing the end. I prayed.
Well, I mean, Israel has civil war going on, but what does that mean in 2 weeks?
He
It comes to an end.
He seemed to
And
think
we all move on. We're like, okay, you were an asshole.
Yeah, nobody did anything wrong.
Let's forgive and forget.
Yeah,
it's never going to go back.
There are good people on both sides.
They're good people on both sides. Okay, dude, Gary, you did great today. One more time, tell them where they can find you.
So the documentaries that we've put out and are going to be putting out are going to be on Drinking Bros YouTube, and then I have my own YouTube where other content we make comes out called Street Gonzo, and then follow my Instagram Street Gonzo because that's where I'm the most active until I am found in a ditch somewhere with a prostitute and like a dirty needle or something, because I feel like if they're going to kill me, it'll probably be something related to.
Are you hitting meetings at all, dude?
No, I'm actually pretty solid.
You have my number, dude. You got to call me.
Yeah.
We'll talk, dude. I think it's important to surround yourself with people. I mean, you're talking about shooting yourself in the dick and going to whorehouses. I mean, God bless your authenticity. I think you're more, there's more people like you than anyone wants to admit. I think that's why this show does really well. I think all my content does really well because people relate more to the truth than this artificial presentation that is just infecting comedy right now. So many fucking liars. And that's okay. And it is what it is. Everyone do your own thing. I don't care. We're in our wedding singer phase of comedy right now where everything's vapid retards. And that's okay because people need to escape. I totally get it. But you either you get in the middle of the herd or you're going to get lost. That's my opinion. And I'm here to talk to you about it. And it's real simple shit. All right, buddy. I appreciate you guys. Great show. Let's break down the steps. Guys, what'd you guys think about Gary?
I like that guy, man.
I love Gary.
I mean, he's living dangerously, but I like him.
I can't wait to watch his journey as he gets closer to God and he stops going to prostitutes.
I thought you were going to say you can't wait to watch the documentary.
No, I mean, I'm in one of his docs. I'll watch his doc for sure.
No, but his dick jab doc? Yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah, his dick one, the one where he injected his penis at a 45-degree angle.
Just blur it out, bro.
Yeah, I don't know about that, dude. It's interesting. But Johnny, you had some breaking news, huh?
Yeah, okay. So it's a little unclear. So Jimmy Kimmel had some comments about Charlie Kirk. I mean, Trump, obviously not a good look for him. But the first part of that where he's talking about, I mean, let's just take it on face value, the news. It's obvious that the guy, as he is presented, is a left. I mean, he's dating a trans person. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about with that? If you so Kimmel is just being a dick there. But the news is this is from the Spectator Index. Jimmy Kimmel's show set to stop airing on ABC after Charlie Kirk comments. Now, I'm not sure. Now, you said, Sam, that you saw that it was the Next Star affiliates possibly that were going to pull his show or preempt it. So Kimmel seems to be in some. This is breaking as we're talking here. So he seems to be in some hot water over that. Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff being said right now. It said that the FCC chair has threatened ABC and Disney over his remarks about Charlie Kirk, which I don't like seeing that necessarily. The government.
Well, let's get into it, Johnny. Let's get into it. It's like obviously. I have personal feelings about Jimmy Kimmel because one of my favorite people on planet Earth, Don Barris, works there. And I don't want to see Don Barris lose his job. I don't know where Don Barris goes from there. I'm sure he could get another job crowd warming up. I hope that would happen, but I don't want to see Don Barris lose his job. I love Don Barris. He's a unique talent. He's a blessing. He is one of the bedrocks of the Comedy Store. Jimmy Kimmel is one of those dudes who have closed doors behind him, which again, I don't care if you I have no problems with, let me say it like that. I have no problems with if you evolve as a human being over time. Xavier, how old are you? 30, 31?
32.
You're 32 years old. The Xavier of 32 years old is not going to be the same Xavier of 40 years old. He will grow, he will learn, he will understand how the world works more and more over time. So I have no problems with people changing. Again, I always have the issue with people closing doors behind them. Okay? And the left, progressive left, is the biggest hypocrites of that. So I told you guys after we recorded that I did a show at the Comedy Store last night. And what do you want me to say this for Broken Sim? With this more Broken Sim story?
No, it's up to you. Whatever you think.
Okay. So I did a show at the store last night, and I was talking about all the people that got fired for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And the joke is you're going to go to Starbucks tomorrow, it's going to be empty because they're all going to be fired, right? It's a funny joke. I did it in Chicago, got big laughs. Did it at the Comedy Store last night, got crickets. And I always do this thing when I go, hey, man, how many people from in the audience are from LA? If half or the majority of the people clap from LA, it's going to be a shitty crowd. If more people clap that aren't from LA, it's going to be a better crowd. Because LA is in a bubble that's still in 2015 where people get hurt. Now, I have no problems with some of the younger comics. I think the younger comics are just much better writers than the comics of my era. I just think we're better performers. And the biggest problem I have with comedians right now, this younger generation, nobody's provocative. Everybody's just doing corporate friendly comedy. Like I said this before, like the comics of the past, if the comics of today were from my era, they would all be doing corporate gigs and they'd be doing corporate gigs, cruise ships, and writing on shitty TV shows.
Kind of like the 80s all over again when everybody was trying to get a pilot, right?
Right. But even that, like, you saw some big names, but you're talking about the times when Sam Kinison and Richard Pryor and George Carlin were roaming the stages. Yeah. There was still room for like chaos and the stories of like Sam Kinison was used to clear out the room. That's what Mitzi Shore would do at a certain time in the year. She would put up Sam Kinison and he would clear out the room so the staff could get ready to close down. That's what the store was. And, the only consistency in the universe is change. And things change, and that's fine. The biggest problem I have, and again, they're better comics than they're better writers than we are, is that these young kids have been so traumatized by cancel culture that they're only doing safe comedy now. Everybody is a demographic mascot. They all talk about their demographic. It's, everybody's act as they're walking to the stage. And even though the avenue to become famous that rewards that is dead, that's what they're doing. The avenue now that leads to money, fame, fortune tends to be authenticity. So I go up on stage and and this might be just in my head, but I feel there's not an appreciation for what I'm trying to do on stage, which is burn everything to the ground. Okay. And it's this desire to kill political correctness, because political correctness is the reason why we live in such a sick society right now. We are allowing people to act out of whack. I don't want to say out of pocket because Johnny says that's the wrong use of the word.
No. It's just the modern. Yeah, it's like become a thing. Yeah. Apparently, I looked it up the other day. It came out of Blackpool Hall scene in the 50s. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. But what am I trying to say? If I'm not trying.
No, you're
to say
right though. I mean, that is a way to say that. Out of
so they're acting a fool.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking any chances, and so I do the set. It's a fucking fun, weird set. The guy after me kind of fucking makes fun of me saying retard and Charlie Kirk 1,000 times. and I don't get really mad at that because that's what I used to do when I filed Dice all the time, or I filed fucking Eddie Griffin. One time I ripped Eddie Griffin so hard that I had New York City managers calling to represent me because everyone had talked about it.
That's fun.
I've had a couple sets at the store where people from New York City called and were like, "What the fuck's he doing?" But again, when I'm going up at 11:45 in the room, and I'm the first one challenging these people. Now there are some guys there, like Bruce Gray, I think is his name. He's really fucking good. He takes chances. There's a couple guys there, but for the most part, it's demographic mascot comedy, and I don't hate him for it. I root for comedians, especially when I see a guy start as a door guy, become a regular. That's a passage that I celebrate because I did that as well, and it's you know you kind of go through it to get to it. But again, and maybe people are too dumb to understand it, and buzzwords happen. So I say Charlie Kirk, everyone shuts down. They don't listen to what I'm saying. The only regret I had from the set last night is that I didn't challenge this chick more. I asked anyone find that hypocritical. She goes, yeah. And I didn't want to piss off her boyfriend because they were out on a date. I didn't want to ruin his date night. But in hindsight, I should have pressed her even harder. Because the progressive left, and this goes back to Jimmy Kimmel, the progressive left created the rules of the game. Yes, in the 80s, maybe even go back to the 60s, the Christian conservatives were kind of shouting about the devil and drugs and sex and stuff. Yeah. But I would say that wasn't cancel culture. That was censorship. And there's a big difference between that. Cancel culture is you lose everything. I've lost Patreons, YouTube channels, Twitter. I had to pay $3,000 for my Instagram. That is cancel culture. Censorship is me being shadow banned. Do you understand the difference? I'm still there, but I'm not being able to be seen by anybody. It's the thing that the ADL came up with, which they're so proud. Freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. So I would say back then they were censoring. Those people never got dropped. You never saw Twisted Sister. You never saw AC/DC. You never saw Slayer. You never saw all these demonic bands get dropped from their labels. No, their labels realized that was great promotion and they ran with it. And maybe, a bunch of Christians bought their album, which helps the artists. They bought their albums and then burned them. But it was, and they were you never saw Slayer sponsored by Nike or Jamba Juice or any of these like Lil Nas X skits. People all call him satanic, and then next thing you know, he's got a Verizon wireless commercial. Okay, so you never saw that. So there's no cancellation going on with that. But getting fired, getting fired from your job, like Shane Gillis when he says gook kike, right? He gets fired for that. That's cancellation. You have the cancellation of today was created by the left. The human resources person is simply a progressive nanny for I'm not going to say who told me, wink wink, about somebody in the office whose pronouns change moment to moment in the office, and everyone had to kind of play a game of Clue to guess what their pronouns were at that time. And if you didn't get them right, you'd have a talk with human resources. That's bullying. That is cancel culture from the left, and now it's come back, and it's stung them in the ass. So now Jimmy Kimmel's losing affiliates for what he said. Well, Jimmy Kimmel and all of his friends were the ones who have kind of turned their back on how they used to be. Jimmy Kimmel on the Man Show, Jimmy Kimmel doing blackface and all that stuff. So just know, guys, on the left and the right, and I'm sure there's nobody from the left that listens to the show or is going to listen to this point in the show. Once you create a rule that you want to be used against people you don't like, it will come back around and be used against you. Right? So when you have the pro-choice people. I mean, we live in a state which is pro-choice for abortion, right? And then the equivalent of pro-life, or the state decides whether you take vaccines or not. How's that? a parallel? How does that work out? How does that thought process? What's the mental gymnastics you have to get there? Well, once the pro-choice people decide to tell everybody they had to get the vaccine, they lost their ground, and then all of a sudden you saw all these pro-life laws being passed all over the country because everyone said what your beliefs you don't stand on business, right? You're not standing on business. And they lost ground for that, for their hypocrisy. Because once you establish a rule for other people, it will come back and bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what has happened with with Jimmy Kimmel. You can't suddenly become a progressive, turn your back on everything you did before, and then not expect it to bite you in the ass. And again, I'm sad because Don Barris is one of my favorite people on planet Earth, and I would hate to see him lose his job. But like we were talking before the show, Jimmy Kimmel used to be a savage.
You don't think you don't think he'll just end up on YouTube? Where it's just now he can kind of do whatever they want because that's what Piers Morgan does. It's just uncensored now. You don't think it'll be Jimmy Kimmel uncensored? Like now we can talk whatever we want and now even say stupid or shit and get away with it.
I mean, like, doesn't that make him look bad?
Yeah, and I have confirmed here it is the affiliates. Well, now this just says, okay, New York Times has something from 11 minutes ago that just says flat out ABC pulls Kimmel off the air for. Huh. Now that would be something if they just. I mean, what does that even mean? Pulls him off the. Why isn't it? Okay. Oh God, that fucking New York Times. I can't get the lead because you have to pay for the New York Times.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. They catch me every single time.
Give me a second. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's not gonna. Let me. But yeah, so I'm not sure, Sam. I mean,
well, I don't know if you guys know. South Park took down the episode.
Oh, County Central took it down. Yeah.
Yeah, they took it. That shit.
Where they're making. Yeah. They also delayed their episode this week, which is, I'm not. Maybe it's happened a few times because they do push it up to the deadline famously, but they do. I wonder what they were talking about, or they're going to talk about that they pushed the episode back a week. Oh, and I sent you that, Sam. You mentioned the Tucker Carlson thing. He tweeted that they pushed it back to the 23rd. The 9/11 documentary.
Oh, because of the shooting.
Because of the shooting, yeah. They said.
Okay. Okay.
Walt Disney on ABC said on Wednesday it will indefinitely stop airing Jimmy Kimmel Live after remarks. So he's going to get fired. They're just going to, right? Must be. They're going to. I bet the affiliates, what you saw, Nexstar, like called and were like, "Hey, we're not putting up with this," and then they're like, "Well, that means he's done." I mean, when does it somebody get indefinitely suspended and end up coming back to work? It just doesn't really happen, does it? That's crazy.
I mean, and I'm going to be honest with you, like the reaction of Trump was something you could talk about.
Oh, that was hilarious. I mean, that was a really dumb thing for him.
I mean, I didn't see anything where he said he was making fun of Charlie Kirk dying.
Well, it was the first part where he was talking about Republicans trying to spin it to make it look like he was anything but one of them. And the guy, I mean, if you take it at face value, was obviously not a right winger. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. The only stance is he grew up conservative, which you can. I mean, supposedly his parents are super conservative, but other than that, that doesn't make you conservative if your parents are.
No. Yeah, and you tend to be the opposite of your parents.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Republicans make Democrats. Democrats make Republicans.
And I mean, did you see the text messages? I mean, if you believe the text messages,
I do not.
I do not. But I mean, it's obvious that he's like, I just had enough of his hatred.
Yeah.
There's a certain.
I'm going to go to my vehicle. I'm going to grab my rifle. Do not tell anybody about this.
He was like, go look under the keyboard. I left a note.
My father, who says my father? Like they just think we're stupid, but this is nonlinear warfare.
So what do you guys think about what is it, PDE or whatever, the guy Patrick Bet-Davis talking about downplaying Candace Owens and Tucker, how they're already jumping the gun on saying it was Israel, and he's like, "Oh, we can't go there. Yeah, you guys are
Patrick
obviously."
Bet-David is
controlled.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. Candace Owens brought up this, and people have definite feelings on Candace Owens, and I don't always agree with her on a lot of stuff. I do agree with I don't agree with her on everything, but I tend to agree with her on a lot of stuff. And Charlie Kirk was the only one who didn't have Netanyahu on his show. Everybody else had Netanyahu. He didn't have him on it. And you know, the way that fucking crazy Ackman guy is trying to downplay the fight, and then everyone's coming forward going, Charlie Kirk told me that this happened. He came to me and told me it happened.
Wait,
But-
who said? Bill Ackman said that?
Bill Ackman said that their interaction was cordial and there was no
Oh.
threats made.
Right.
So if you see, there's an episode I think of Pierce Morgan where Dave Smith is debating a Israeli human rights lawyer. So they talk about how there was a lawyer there that just started screaming at Charlie Kirk.
And that was on. I'm sorry, I'm digging through it here. It says Bill Ackman shares texts from Charlie Kirk.
Yes, he's trying to act like it was cordial. Like, and no one's saying the text was threatening. Everyone's saying the meeting was threatening,
Yeah.
and that Charlie Kirk said he was going to be blackmailed in some sort of way.
Okay.
You know,
This is when they had that meeting that Candace Owens was talking about, where Bill Ackman was there and some other big hitters, right? To
Yeah.
kind of warn him off of.
Yeah, Candace Owens,
Israel
Candace Owens gave that guy an invitation to come on her show and prove that there was never a meeting or nothing like that. So we'll see where that goes too.
Oh no, this says Dave Smith smashes the narrative that Israel.
yeah. I mean, I love Dave Smith, and I would be very nervous if I was in his position. I think a lot of those guys at the very highest levels, and I'm okay with if you don't want to believe it's Israel. I just don't know how you can say it's 100% not Israel.
You can't.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you could say that. I can understand if you're nervous and you're like, yeah, I don't see it. It's like, I don't want to say it. And Dave Smith is a G amongst G's, but I would tell you that it's you have to go a long way before you can get me to believe that a trans furry lover who lived 4 hours away picked the right place at the right time and did all this stuff over people that have had financial investments in this guy and weren't happy with what he's saying and have a history of doing this.
Yeah. Or I mean,
What would you think?
The guy
Yeah.
might think he did it. By the way, it's entirely possible. That's the best.
No, he said he didn't
yeah.
do it.
But
So
the
this
best
is my-
well, we've heard that. But I'm saying the best patsy is a patsy who thinks they did it.
which
That's
is
the
Mark
best
David Chapman.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about the theory that, because a lot of people don't want to do live events no more, but then that makes it seem like the left won. People stop doing live events. Tim Dillon,
Well,
Tim
Israel
Pool,
won.
yeah, Tim
What's Adam
Pool.
Stein gonna? I mean, Alex Stein gonna do? He's
Mhm.
like, whoa.
Well, this is the big debate that I had with Dylan last night. That went the entire hour. Is like if we've seen Israel talk about how they're losing the narrative, and now in the last couple weeks, I'd say a month, they've literally bought up all the media. They bought up all the media. They bought TikTok. They want to buy CNN. They bought CBS, and you can go down the list of things they bought. Okay, so obviously the message is important, and now you got somebody who's starting to go off message that you invested millions and millions and millions of dollars in. The best way to tell people stop talking shit is to show what could be the results of talking shit. And now you have guys going, I'm not doing live events. I'm not doing live events. It's like, okay, we'll see. I mean, so they say TikTok is doing the most damage, and now they just sold it to 2 Israelis. The U.S. government forced China to sell the majority share to 2 Israelis.
Yeah. Donald Trump did say the deal was done yesterday. A deal has been made between the U.S. and China to keep TikTok running in the U.S. And you're saying it's 2 Israelis, huh?
Yeah, it's the
Company.
guy who owns Oracle. The weird guy I always say looks like he's in the Shysta.
Shaisa? Yeah.
And then it's the other guy that's been
Larry-
on
Larry
Rogan a
Ellison,
couple
right?
times.
Larry Ellison.
Larry Ellison, and I forget the other guy's been on Rogan a bunch of times, which is very interesting because he's talked about all the conspiracies and broken down a lot of shit. So it's interesting that he's one of the owners because he kind of had an enlightened point of view on shit.
Oh, Andreessen Horowitz also. Okay, so it's Oracle, Andreessen Horowitz, and others. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, could you get Dreidel Horowitz? I mean, could you get more of a Jewish name?
That's the company name, but yeah, it's 2 last names, Andreessen Horowitz.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, what a great way. I mean, you got people saying they're not doing live events.
It's Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz. Yeah. One thing I wanted to say too that was interesting that I noted. I tried to look up that Disney thing, the blue skies thing about them removing that, and they've done some kind of camouflage in the search because Disney sold this company called Blue Sky. So it's one of those things you can't Google because it's just all covered up with this company Blue Sky that Disney dumped, this animation studio or something. So I thought that was kind of interesting that it's hard to Google it now because they've kind
Google. Well, why are they? Why?
I tried
Why
to,
they do that?
I tried to search that thing about them removing blue skies from films, but it's covered up, kind of camouflaged in the Google search by Disney selling this animation company called Blue Sky.
Interesting.
That's all
Isn't
that
that what
comes up.
Kanye West said about why
Yeah.
with Black Panther? So you
Yes.
can't learn about the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like the same one about Frozen. You can't look up Walt Disney Frozen because you type in Frozen and all you fucking get is the movie Frozen for 1,000,001 videos.
Yep.
Also, you're talking about me wanting to live a long time. I'll mention that the Bible mentions the reward for wisdom like dozens of times as long life, obeying your parents. Long life is the blessing. So long life is a virtue in the Bible and the blessing of God. Just wanted to.
So now, yeah, Johnny, I'm seeing people are talking about Disney ABC is pulling Jimmy Kimmel off air nationally, effective immediately and indefinitely.
Yeah, indefinitely. Yeah, that's what we were saying.
What are they?
I mean,
what is
what
he
a
gonna
great.
do?
I mean, like, what did Rob Emanuel say? Never let a good what's it called? A good
What was it like a
crisis go to waste.
crisis, right? Yeah. Go to
So
waste.
it's like they probably like how like, dude, we're paying all this money for this thing. Nobody's watching it. Oh, look, bang, bye, bang, goodbye. So, dude, you know who's got me feeling really weird right now? Jimmy Fallon. They got to be like, oh no.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
the
they're
last
getting rid
of
of
them.
late night. Yeah, they're gonna be done. They're not gonna have late night anymore.
That's so sad.
I know it's depressing. It's so depressing. It was over though. Good late night was over when Letterman left.
Yeah,
It
100%.
was done. He was,
And, you know,
and he was
it's
never he never beat Leno. Like maybe once. I know his whole run did he ever beat Leno, who was the
Well, Johnny, it's like comparing Kill Bill to Shrek.
yeah,
Like
totally.
they're trying to do two different things.
Yeah, and it's a miracle Letterman was as popular as he was, honestly.
Well, it's like my brother one time said to me, he goes, dude, I don't know what the big deal is that the final episode of Breaking Bad got like 10 million views. That's what Duck Dynasty gets every episode. I go, they're two different types of shows.
Yeah.
Two different types of shows. All right, go to samtripoli.com.